You know, today I wanted to talk about Ubora. I mean, it's been hard to believe it's been a year since we were able to gather all the Ubora users together for the Ubora Global Conference last year.
It really is hard to believe.
Yeah, that was a fun time. I was just looking at the YouTube videos. I can't believe how great they were. I really hope that all staff had a chance to look at them.
Yeah, you know, we had a lot of changes last year with Ubora.
That's right. I think that the biggest change was probably the PQAT, the Program Quality Assessment Tool. It was exciting to start getting a lot of interesting program information into Ubora.
Yeah, and don't forget that we made the indicators way more useful.
That's true, more meaningful.
Yeah, and I know people appreciated we reduced the times that you have to submit the indicators from 4 times to 2. That relieved a lot of the burden on country offices.
Oh yeah, the twice-a-year reporting was really helpful, that's for sure. It's easier on us too.
Yeah, that's true. And now we're ready to start the FY11 cycle.
Wow.
You know, it's great. I mean, we had a lot of changes last few years, but it's great that Ubora is becoming a more stable and reliable system that people can use the information to measure performance around care and to use it for planning. We really didn't need that many changes for this year.
No.
And so I don't think we need to arrange another global conference. And well, it's just lucky because you know we don't have the budget for it.
Nope.
So can you think of a way we can share the changes with everyone?
Well, I think it's a good point. We probably don't need a full other conference, and I don't think we need another new user guide either. Last year's user guide, I think, really outlines all the changes and, I mean, all of the requirements for Ubora. But maybe it would be helpful to send out just a supplement explaining the changes for FY11 and maybe a new compact disc with all the updated tools.
Yeah, that's great. And I also was thinking about having a team meeting, and we can have someone film it, and we'll be discussing about the different ideas.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds a little weird, kind of strange.
It does.
I guess it could work.
It could. I mean, if you think about it, we could put the translations at the bottom of the screen. But do please let us know ahead of time because I want to make sure and look my best.
Absolutely.
Well, it may be a little too late because someone's been filming you since you walked in.
Oh.
So, welcome everyone to our meeting.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
I'm Jeff Yaschik.
Hola. I'm Sarah Ralston.
I'm Mwanda Graham.
And you know, I'm sorry Sarah Arneson, who works part-time with Ubora, couldn't be here today. I think everyone watching knows that Ubora means excellence in Swahili, and is CARE USA's organizational performance system. So we really want to use this video as an opportunity to explain about the changes in Ubora for FY11. All of this information they can also find in the supplement. I think it'd be a good idea to go over with you what Ubora measures and how this information is used by CARE at the global, regional, and country office levels. While we're doing that, we can highlight the changes for fiscal year 11. And in fact, I'm going to play this sound, and when you hear that, you should pay attention because that means we're going to highlight the changes that are taking place this year. I think that most of you are familiar with the Ubora triangle. The triangle shows the 4 components that are needed to review together to assess the overall quality of our work. The 4 components are resources, program and program support, and impact. We'll take a closer look at each of these and identify which information from Ubora goes into them. Some of the information is provided directly to Ubora through collection tools, and other information Ubora takes from existing reporting systems. As we mentioned, much of the information is the same as last year, but why don't we just go ahead and get to it and talk about the different parts of the Ubora triangle. Lawanda, why don't you start with resources?
Sure, Jeff. Well, when we say resources, that includes human, financial, and technology. Resources is the base of the triangle because the resources we have in place support all of the work that we do around care. So let's take a look at HR. The HR tool has 3 sections. The first is staff turnover, the second is gender balance, and the third is talent retention. We had this indicator last year, but I want to go over in a little more detail because we heard a lot of feedback that it was a little confusing. Talent retention is an important indicator, especially in light of the program approach. losing staff at the end of projects makes it difficult to retain key people for the length of a program. To collect this indicator, CEOs should follow the following steps. First, the CEO should develop a definition of key staff. Once the definition is decided, the second step is for the CEO senior leadership team to identify which staff meet this definition. The third and last step is to find out which of these key staff have contracts that end during the 6-month measurement period, which is July to December or January to June. Finally, at the end of the period, the CEO should enter in the number of these staff who they were able to retain.
Okay, so thanks, LaWanda. Now that's human resources. Now I want to talk about financial resources.
Okay.
First, let's start with CEO resource mobilization. The CEOs use the CEO resource mobilization tool to provide Ubora information that cannot be gathered from other sources. There are a couple of additions to the resource mobilization tool that will provide more context and help with analysis. Just as in previous year, the tool collects the number and dollar value of proposals won. But this year we are also asking for the dollar value of proposals lost. We realize that sometimes CEOs don't know the exact amount of a proposal they don't win, and in that case you can use an estimate. Another new question on the tool asks if proposals are strategic. The CEO should determine whether or not a proposal is considered strategic based on whether or not it will help achieve program goals and advance key elements of program strategy. At this point, we were only asking for a yes or no response, which might make it difficult to answer for certain proposals. But please use the answer that is most reflective of the strategic value of a proposal. This additional information is important to take into consideration as we implement the program approach and move beyond just looking at the dollar amount of proposals won and lost, but also take into consideration their strategic value. The final change is that the tool will now ask you to also list all outstanding proposals. This will provide a quick look at what's in the country office's pipeline. To capture this additional information, we did have to change the tool. The tool now has a line for each proposal where you enter the proposal name, the donor, and the dollar amount. Then you select from the pull-down menu either if the proposal is won or lost, or if there's no decision yet. Next, you will answer the question about the strategic value of the proposal. The totals based on these calculations are calculated below. So remember, you should only enter in proposals that you have signed new contracts during the reporting period, proposals that you have learned that you did not win during the reporting period, and new this year, proposals that you have not heard an answer on by the end of the reporting period. Finishing up with financial resources, we also get information that the CEOs submit through Scala. We can use the information in Scala to show expense trends over time, the top donors for each country office, and the percent of expenses funded by unrestricted resources. So that's all the information on financial resources that Ubora gets from country offices. LaWanda, why don't you talk about technology resources?
Yes, actually, I'm very excited. I ran into one of our IT colleagues in the elevator, and he was so excited about the data that they're getting through Ubora.
Really?
In fact, he was
How
going
great.
on and on about how they're using it for their planning meetings and how they're using it to look at CARE's overall IT needs.
That's
and I
great.
thought that was great. And in fact, what they're planning on doing this year is assessing CARE's global telecommunications possibilities. And so what that means for us is that they're adding a new telecommunications indicator to see how CEOs are using either voice over IP phones or WebEx, things of that nature. Because they're planning on using that to leverage global contracts and things of that nature.
Cool.
So overall, the IT collection tool will now have internet connectivity, like we had last year. We'll have this new telecommunications indicator, and then we'll also still have the IT support indicator, and then finally, what sources the CEO is outsourcing as far as services.
Great. That should
Yeah,
help us
that's
a lot.
great. So just to summarize for resources, the two tools country offices needed to complete are the HR tool and the IT tool. And there, submit those directly to Ubora at care.org on January 15th and July 15th.
What about the resource mobilization tool?
Oh my gosh, did I leave that out?
Sure did. That's the third one that country offices need to submit.
That's great. Thanks.
So, but besides those three, what else? What other information? It just comes in from Scala.
That's right.
Okay, great.
Well, if that's it for resources, Sarah, how about you tell us about program?
Great, I'd love to. There's two main tools for gathering program information through Ubora. The first is the Program Quality Assessment Tool, or the PQAT, which we mentioned earlier. And that's really a self-assessment tool. The second is a Program and Project Directory, which collects data about our projects and programs around the world. I want to talk a little bit about the PQAT. Now, many of you applied the PQAT last year, but for those of you who have not, it's a tool that is based on the program characteristics. And it's got two sections, the design section and the implementation section. I want to read two quotes that have come in from different country offices that help explain about their experience using the PQAT and how they found it useful. This tool helps staff and partners step back from day-to-day activities and reflect on the quality of their work. The exercise helped participants appreciate and understand all the issues of the program, the strengths, challenges, and weaknesses. The discussions on the rating really allowed for consensus building and harmonized the understanding of participants on various issues. And then there's this one. The feedback from the PQAT workshop was not just positive, but inspiring. That is, it wasn't just positive in the this was interesting and useful sense, but in the now that we've gone through this tool, I think I finally really understand what the P-Shift is about sense.
Wow.
I was very impressed with the engaged and lively nature of the discussions, and I am confident that this was a worthwhile investment.
Wow.
Isn't that exciting?
Awesome.
Yeah,
I know.
great.
So it's really great to hear that kind of feedback, and it sounds like the PQAT is really proving to be a useful process, the process of applying it, and the tool itself is definitely useful in regard to providing information that's useful for analysis and reporting across the organization. I do want to mention that there are a few changes to the PQAT this year. Now, we've had 2 years for testing and refining the tool, so we didn't really think that there needed to be many changes, and all of the feedback really confirmed that. But the few changes that we did make were, number one, the rating scale. There seemed to be too big of a gap between 1, not at all, and 2, satisfactory, which I definitely think makes sense. So we changed it to 1, not at all, 2, some progress made, and then 3, satisfactory, and so on. So that's a slight change. Secondly, several country offices sent in feedback saying that nonviolent conflict resolution is not really adequately incorporated into the program characteristics. And CARE UK this year, who has a great, strong conflict team, they're going to work with us to apply the PQAT, and they're going to offer suggestions about how to better incorporate this into the PQAT. Finally, there were a few questions causing confusion, and I think we really went through the tool and tried to simplify them and to make them a little bit shorter. So I really hope that these changes make the tool even more useful for everyone, and I look forward to hearing about the different ways that people use it this year.
Sarah, who's going to apply the PQAT? I know in the past years it's been mostly the Learning Lab country offices.
That's right. Great question. The PQAT is really applicable to all country offices now as more and more are moving towards programs.
Right.
So really, any new program that's being designed this year should apply the PQAT within 1 year of that design process. The implementation section of the tool should only be applied to ongoing operational programs, which is a little bit harder to decide when is the right time to apply that section. And it really depends on the progress that's been made in actually implementing the program. So DRDs and Program Quality have decided to work with country offices at the beginning of each year to decide when it would make sense and to which programs it would make sense to apply the implementation section of the tool.
Okay.
The other main system, the other main way that we collect program information through Ubora is through the new Program and Project Directory. And I do want to explain a little bit more about that. Oh, there's a
Who
phone
might be
call
calling
coming
during
in.
the meeting?
I don't know. Let me grab it.